thank you very much. Okay, so thanks a lot at the beginning very much for your invitation, and I'm really honored to be here in this beautiful city of Liepāja, and thanks a lot for you all to be here. Today I'm going to speak first of all about my story, then about my vision and the path I followed in life, and also with an outlook into the future of photography and the direction on which path to follow. My path goes through nature, and it starting from the mountains where I live in the Dolomites in northern Italy. I will start introducing myself with this image that represents the visual description of where I was about 15 to 20 years ago. Metaphorically, I was under the clouds, under dark clouds, under heavy clouds. I'm an engineer by education, and for many years I've worked as an engineer. I had my own company. I was an entrepreneur, very successful company, very good salary, but I was not happy. I was not authentic with myself. I felt that I was not walking on my path. And what happened? It happened that I got ill, very ill. And this experience triggered a totally new awareness about life, about where I wanted to go, about my direction in life. And struggling and pushing, I got through it. But the healing was not just a physical healing, it was especially a mental healing, a healing of the soul. And this image metaphorically shows that under the dark clouds, finally there were some lights of some rays of light going through. So in a way, I was reborn again. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, and I took a decision. I left my job and took up photography as an amateur nature photographer. And so, of course, everyone around me told me I was crazy, but I'm very happy that I did one of few crazy things in my life, such as this one. So it was like to be born again. It was like having a second chance. And so I started to walk this path less traveled, because it's something that I decided. It was my choice. And as in this picture, taken up in the Dolomites with this big cathedral of rock rising above the rocks, there was a new light, like a sunrise, a new day. And I started basically exploring my home garden, exploring the place where I live. And at the beginning, my travel companion was my camera, of course. And I started to hike up and down the mountain, searching for beauty, basically, with the intent of getting to know this environment. I've always had an innate love for nature, and that went together with my passion for photography. And the more you know a place, it's like having a personal relationship with nature. That's what happens to me. So it's like now when I go out into nature, not only in the mountains where I live, but actually in contact with nature, it's like meeting a friend. The more you meet a friend, the more you get in contact with him or her, the more you develop a better relationship, and the more also then you understand his or her voice. So with time, I've tried to use, and I'm trying to use my camera as a tool for translating this voice I hear, the voice of nature, into photographs that are able to deliver some messages. Now I would like to show you this first video that basically makes you understand what I do and what I was doing, especially in those first years. This is a brief video showing an adventure. I was at 3,000 meters, so very high, with a friend of mine, Matteo Zamvettor, who is, by the way, the author of this video maker. And we slept in a very basic hut. And in the morning, before sunrise, it was still dark. With our headlamp, we headed out and hiked until the top of the mountain to wait for the first light. Let's see this video. So that morning, I remember very, very well, I selected 3 pictures that I liked from that morning, for example. This one has been taken exactly after sunrise. You can see the light, it's still quite warm up in the mountains and in the upper side of the picture. This one instead, it's a little bit later, but you can still see, I love this picture because there are many clouds in the valley, but I was very high. I was at 3,000 meters. And the highest peaks of the Dolomites are about 3,300 meters, so basically the same height. So I was looking at my subject in the eyes. Like when you take pictures of wildlife, also of people, the more you are on the same eye level, the more like you enter into the world of your subject. And in a way, I was exactly looking at the eyes, the very highest peaks of the Dolomites. This one instead, it's later in the morning, you see the light has changed. Now it's colder, it's more bluish. It's a different hues and also different mood. So with time, my perception changed a lot about photography, about taking pictures. At the beginning, I was just looking for taking a good picture, But now, with time later, and also now, of course, before, for me, comes the sense of connection with the place, of connection with nature. And only after this can be translated into a photograph. The camera is like a tool for translating these messages. And the messages, personally, I receive are messages of, not just messages of beauty. By the way, beauty is the language of nature. But also messages of awe, of wonder, messages of emotional connection. And personally, when I achieve this connection, then it's much easier then to find the right composition and to get the better picture. Here, for example, I've been to this place hundreds of times. I know it very well, but only once I found these very good conditions with the frozen pond in the foreground, the just fallen snow, and the blue of the pond that is matched by the blue of the sky that's been taken after sunset in the blue hour. That time between sunset and dark. And so now I've spoken this first part of my presentation about my home, basically these mountains. I would like to share with you my personal translation of this relationship I have with them. So I would call it the heart of the Dolomites, which is, by the way, the title of my next book to be published quite soon. Enjoy this video. Thank you. Thank you, nature, I would say. So this is my story and how I found a purpose and a path to follow in life and also in my work. This path actually brought me also to many other places around the world, and today I would like to specially focus on two areas, on two locations that had a very strong impact on myself and also on my photography. That is the Andes in South America and also the Arctic in the north. You know, this image is I've been a few times to Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, in the high altitude desertic environments of the Andes. And those are environments, ecosystems with a very big wilderness, very vast landscape of wild, really landscapes. And in this picture, for example, I was personally standing at 4,800 meters, so pretty high. The mountains in the background are volcanoes 6,400 meters high. And you can see after sunset, there was this magenta light, a cast of magenta light from the refracted light, basically, that was dominating the landscape, painting also the lagoon. And in the foreground, you see these rocks and these plants. You know, life thrives also in these extreme conditions, also at this altitude. And here it's another environment, a very precious wetland. Those are arid and dry environments, so where water is very important. And these wetlands are very precious ecosystem, water reservoirs that for sustaining biodiversity and supporting life. And these plants in the foreground are cushion plants, like moss, but cushion plants that are able to absorb a lot of water, so acting not only as a reservoir, but also in terms also of absorbing also carbon, you know. And these environments are threatened by the change in water patterns, in the quantity of snow, in climate in general. Here instead we have the mountains of the glacier. It's up in the Arctic. I've been to the Svalbard Islands in particular a few times. Up Norway, very much high, more than 80 degrees north in terms of latitude. And here the effects of the current changes, the warming temperatures in particular, are much higher than elsewhere in the world. Here temperatures are already, the change is already 4 times higher than in the rest of the world. And everything is interconnected, no? So I could see it, I could experience myself how these beautiful environments are changing. And that affects mainly wildlife. Here we have the king of the Arctic, the polar bear, drifting on the sea ice, on the melting sea ice. Up in the top left corner, northern fulmar, a bird flying, and some guillemots, some kind of ducks, some guillemots in one of the pools. But look at the top right corner. I composed the image exactly to include that corner, you know, to show that the ice is melting. So that's, in my opinion, a photograph that can tell a story. You know, it's how wildlife is coping with very quick changing and trying to adapt. The next video is like my visual sketchbook of these 2 places. Both the Andes and the Arctic. Thank you, thank you. By the way, maybe you have some question on some of these images. I would have liked to go through some of them. Tomorrow in the workshop session, I will talk more deeply about some of these images, also the behind the scenes, you know. But I hope you liked, you know, this visual sketch, my visual sketchbook of these places. Now, I would like to ask myself a question. Why do I do all this? You know, all the places I've shown you are just precious pieces of a larger organism we are part of, that is planet Earth. You know, it's now, let's observe the Earth from outside. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, have my spaceship and fly out to outer space. And let's try to think how it is to see our planet from outside. A tiny, beautiful blue sphere in the grandeur of the cosmos. You know? But from there, it's much easier to perceive how everything is intimately interconnected in our planet. Despite all the divisions, all the disconnections among ourselves and between ourselves and nature. You know, James Lovelock had a great intuition when he said that Earth is a system able to auto-regulate to maintain the conditions of life and to tend towards balance, just like a living being. For me, so a fundamental aspect I try to convey through photography is that is understanding that Earth is a living system and we are part of it, and that protecting this system and its biodiversity, it means to protect ourselves. In a way, really, we are nature. And You Are Nature, by the way, is the title of the book that tomorrow I will speak about it. Look at the eyes of the lion. For me, to convey these messages, a very important way to convey these messages is through emotional connection. That is, photography can have the power to touch inside, to create emotional connection with the viewer, with the observer. And when you feel it inside, when you love something, then it's much easier to take care about it. You know, now I would like to metaphorically immerse myself in this photograph and pose for a moment. Here I'm on the top of a promontory in Iceland. It's been taken in Iceland, on the top of a promontory overlooking the ocean. And if I expand my view towards the future, into the future also of photography, personally, I see both lights and shadows and clouds looming over, like here, looming over from the ocean. Images are and will be powerful tools because of the power they have to tell stories. You know, a photograph can take an instant and making it last forever. So generating emotions, touching inside. And when both right and left hemispheres of the brain are triggered together, the left one is the logical, rational one, the right one is the emotional, creative one. When both hemispheres are triggered, then the message is stored much, much more strongly inside ourselves. Not just here in the mind, but also here in the heart. You can see a kind of heart-shaped mountain here, lit by the light. And so, at the same time, we have a strong responsibility on the kind of message we send. And I think that our main goal as photographers is to deliver authentic messages. And I think that authenticity plays a big role, especially nowadays, where the boundary between true and false, between truth and lies, between real and fake, as we saw this morning in the presentation by Arnis, is very, very blurred, very, very much blurred. Look at this beautiful baobab. In this beautiful baobab, there's the intelligence of nature. It's the very same intelligence that flows inside ourselves, since we are made of the same substance. You know, this is the result of a small seed, tiny seed. Inside contains all that infinite intelligence to become this monumental tree. Just to show you the size, this is me. This bright spot at the bottom is me next to it. So this is to say that the intelligence of nature is something sacred, aimed at good, and only at good. And this is, I would like to compare it instead with the so-called artificial intelligence, you know, which very much affects the world of photography today. For me, the very same word intelligence evokes the highest domains of evolution on this planet, but has little to do with the artificial one that instead can be used for good purposes, but also potentially for evil ones. So AI can be a wonderful tool, but also potentially a dangerous weapon. So I think that our role as photographer is to deliver create photographs that deliver authentic messages, able to touch inside, to awaken awareness in our left-brained, over-digitalized modern society. And I would like to finish my presentation under the stars. Here, under this beautiful Milky Way, it was in Botswana, in one of the driest and cleanest skies in the world, with a baobab in the front. And I would like to tell you my final consideration, aimed directed first of all at all photographers. Be unique. Send out your message, your unique message. Many photographers can take beautiful pictures, but nobody can tell the message you have inside. So send out your message and make sure it's something that improves the world as well. Today, I've spoken to you about my story, how I found my purpose, how I came from dark clouds to purpose and light. This message would like to extend it to everyone, because everyone has a path to follow. So when you find it, follow it. Don't be scared to be happy. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, for your loved ones, and for the entire planet. Thank you.
Dear Alessandro, that's exactly what I said, that all of us, we are searching for better life, better situations, and better solutions. Yeah. And you're a great example, and your inspiring speech is proving that.
Thank you very much.
I have questions for you.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the statement that it's not possible to make a bad picture of mountains because they're always glamorous, always grandioso?
Mountains? No. Well, also, we should speak about what it means to make a good picture or a bad picture, you know.
That we can talk tomorrow, probably.
But it's true that mountains, you know, maybe it's a way also to move up, you know. Like I think as humans also we've always tended towards the sky, and the higher you go, maybe there is also a sense of uniqueness of in the place where you are. And the mountains are for me a great location, because there is you can appreciate some things that we are not so used to. That is silence, size, so grandeur, but also silence. So it's much easier to listen to yourself also, and also to some messages the mountain gives. And then for me it's chasing the light. It's not just to be there. It's to be there, to wait, to be there again, to come back again to the same place, until you find maybe those right alchemic situation that triggers the shutter of your camera.
Thank you. And one more question. Do you see your photography as a timeless or contemporary? Given that on one hand, you're capturing nature, which feels eternal, but on the other hand, your work depends on fleeting conditions like weather, for example.
Yeah, it's both. I think timeless and fleeting, because I think the timeless is very important, because we are deeply interconnected with nature, and especially nowadays, it's, in my opinion, more and more important to awaken this awareness that it's not that we are here and nature is there. We are very much interconnected, even if you live in a big city without a nature environment around. But we are, as we saw before, on the same planet, just one, and it's really, we are intimately interconnected. Then it's also a click of the moment that can change, is an ethereal moment. It's a moment that can change. Personally, I see most of my mountains are changing very much. I've taken some pictures that are not possible to be taken anymore, because maybe a part of the mountain has been degraded, or maybe it happened, for example, in my region 7 years ago, a big windstorm that smashed down 40,000 hectares of forest. So the landscape is changing, it keeps on changing. And, but in my opinion, the most important role is to sending out the language of nature. So more, I would say, more timeless, I would say, than fleeting.
Thank you. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.